Initiating moisture.
The moist meter has become synonymous with friendship, big titties, and light. All things you might also know from a series called Kingdom Hearts. I'll go ahead and say right now, I haven't played every single Kingdom Hearts games that spans across fucking 15 different consoles. You know, the PSP, the mobile game, the Game Boy Advance game, the TI-83 game, all of these different Kingdom Hearts games all span across so many different consoles. It makes it hard to play them all, and for some reason, all of them are super fucking important to the overall story. So I had to do my homework before playing Kingdom Hearts 3, so I watched a bunch of big Kingdom Hearts YouTube video explanations, a bunch of hours of content to take in, and it's overwhelming, but I thought I had a pretty good handle on it until I played the game. Now, I'd really like to start with all the things I liked about the game because I overall think it's a very good game and I had a lot of fun with it. So, before all of you big-dicked Kingdom Hearts enthusiasts get it behind your keyboard at the helm, ready with your Kingdom Hearts Bible in one hand, cock in the other, all semi-chubbed, ready to rumble, telling me how, because I didn't play thousands of hours of content across all of these consoles, I couldn't possibly grasp the magnitude of their ingenious storytelling. Let me tell you what I liked about the game. Because obviously, as you can probably tell, I didn't like the writing, I didn't like the story. But what I liked is the gameplay. The gameplay felt fluid, the gameplay simple yet fun, it keeps it fresh with all the new Keyblades, the second forms that they go into, and it's all very flashy and beautiful to look at. The attraction ride attacks, always fun. It's always nice to see them come to life. I really didn't often skip them because it was just really fucking fun. It was great to look at. They were integrated really well into the combat. It was all seamless. There was just a really flashy, fun combat experience that wasn't too deep, but was deep enough to make it interesting. I ran a very strong magic build that basically spammed thunder, and yet I still had a great time mixing that shit up as well. I also need to mention the soundtrack. The soundtrack is absolutely beautiful throughout the entire game. Every world has beautiful work done in that department. The score, fantastic. Some of the best. Honestly, some of the best I've heard. The main theme, it's no simple and clean, but it is still very good. I also really liked most of the sets. I think the set pieces in the game were great. The boss battles were really fucking cool, if oftentimes confusing due to so much shit going on at the same time. It was still fun, and it never really felt like everything clashed too hard. You could always pretty much tell what was going on, even in the most chaotic circumstances. I just really had a good time with the combat. Every time that you got to do some combat, and unfortunately it wasn't all that often, the game is comprised mainly of cutscenes. It's about 80% cutscenes to 20% gameplay. But when you were doing the gameplay, it was really rewarding and enjoyable, and there was a lot of different items that you could mix around, and just a good fucking time. And I wish there was more gameplay to be had going across the story. You could obviously go out of your way, do some secret bosses, do some grinding and shit like that, and get more gameplay out of it, but if you're just straight shooting the story, your time is mainly going to be spent watching movies that you've already seen. Now we're going to get to the criticisms I have of the game. And it's not the overabundance of cutscenes. I really don't mind that the game was broken up into so many cutscenes. It's a lot of content, and if it could tell a really good story, I would have loved it, but it didn't. Now, the biggest complaint I have is the worlds. Most of them, actually half of them, it's dishonest to say most, because half of the worlds are just watching movies, Disney movies you've already seen. In the Tangled world, you just watch the Tangled movie unfold in front of you, and they'll occasionally mention Sora, Donald, and Goofy. Very rarely. They don't directly impact the plot of that world. Everything just unfolds the same way it did in the movie for the most part. The Frozen world is the same way, and the Pirates of the Caribbean world is the single worst video game level I've played in the modern era of gaming. It is miserable. It's comprised entirely of underwater segments and ship battles that are so primitive it's laughable. Mobile games have deeper ship combat. And it is insultingly long because you watch the entire Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End movie, the entire fucking movie, and that even has the audacity to send you on a mission where you collect 300 crabs from an island. 300 crabs, and they're not in groups of like 200 or anything. There are a couple groups of a big cluster of them, but nothing substantial. You still have to go out of your way on a big island to collect 300 fucking crabs that are ultimately meaningless. I'm going to spoil this for you, though. You collect the 300 crabs, you bring them to Jack Sparrow. Jack Sparrow does nothing with the crabs, and you go about your journey. And then you watch the rest of the movie with bad ship combat occasionally, and they'll occasionally say something like hi to Sora. I hated that level, and I hate that formula where they rotoscope a movie, and they just make you watch it in these worlds in the game. I couldn't stand it. It just seemed pointless. Now, the Toy Story world was great. The Monsters, Inc. world was great. The Big Hero 6 world was great. And you know what all of those have in common? The characters from Kingdom Hearts actually play a role in the narrative that unfolds in those worlds. It had its self-contained narrative, and it was fun. It was enjoyable. You get to go out of your way and have fun with these characters in a new adventure that you haven't already fucking seen before, and it was great. And I don't know why they wouldn't do that for the other worlds, but ultimately everything you do on the worlds doesn't matter in the overarching plot. I don't want to ruin Christmas for you Kingdom Hearts fans, but every single world you visit plays absolutely no role in the outcome of the game. It is completely meaningless, and you never see them touched again once you leave that world. And let's talk about the overarching plot. It's fucking mess. It is incomprehensible jargon that uses the word heart and friendship so many times you forget those words have any real fucking meaning. It is insulting, genuinely spitting in the butthole of anyone that actually wants to fully understand what's going on, because the writers clearly don't even know what's going on. There's an entire subplot with the datascape that is completely disregarded and thrown away. The entire Pirates of the Caribbean world ends with the bad guys saying, well, this was a waste of time, and they poof out of there like some fucking Fairly Odd Parents shit where they went to the wrong place. Some shit is just so useless and is acknowledged as being useless, and I really can't help but feel that the writers were laughing when coming up with this, like, ha ha ha, the players are gonna have to go through this shit and it's useless to the plot. Hardy har har. High fives all around, group hug in the shower tonight, boys, we got 'em. 13 years for this. And I really can't stress enough just how bad the writing plus the voice acting is. I feel like the voice acting performances on their own aren't bad, but for some reason when they're compiled into the game, there's these awkward long pauses in between things that just throw it off and make it sound so bad. It's as if Tommy Wiseau wrote the dialogue and executed it. And I know the previous Kingdom Hearts games were just like this because Tiana recently marathoned them, so I was exposed to a lot of it again, and I did play quite a bit of the in-game shit as well, so I know it's always been like this, but it doesn't mean it should be excused. And yes, at times it is charming to hear Sora say, "Friendship will power the hearts of all of those that didn't make the high school JV basketball team. Band together, squad, we can overcome all the darkness." Yes, sometimes that's charming, but it really overstays its welcome when every single fucking cutscene starts with that. Or there's a scene where he starts doubting himself and he's like, wait a minute, but my dick can get big if I believe hard enough. We can do this, Donald and Goofy. From Donald, and then Goofy says some cool shit. I actually like Goofy. But it just gets such a chore to listen to it, and it's so fucking embarrassing at times. The plot, again, I can't stress enough, is just such an incoherent mess of jumbled fucking diarrhea. It's as if the creator's kids just took a crayon to the script and just drew over it, and then they made the best with what they could decipher from the script they originally had. It's bad. And it doesn't connect at the end. It seems like this game was so consumed with setting up more Kingdom Hearts games that it just lost track of making a good conclusion to the storyline it already had. It's so fucking driven to have all of these different plot points that don't get resolved so that way they can set up something in the future for Kingdom Hearts 4 and the spin-offs that'll undoubtedly span across every fucking console that will ever get made. It's just bad. I don't know why they wouldn't do the series justice with a proper ending, a satisfying conclusion, and one where everything is tied together, and then maybe explore looking into going forward instead of just focusing so much on setting up that next game. I've really got upset with the way the game ended, but overall I have to say I enjoyed my time with the game. I would recommend it because I think the gameplay is really enjoyable and unique, and the visuals just get beautiful and become such a nice spectacle. I didn't care too much for the gummy ship sections in the beginning, but then I made my own ship, the Creamer, and then the Creamer Mark II for when the Creamer was really, sucking some hard dick. I made the improved version, and I had a lot of fun with the gummy ship shit after that, so I have to say I think the gummy ship shit was done pretty well. And I just really did enjoy my time with the game. There was a lot of charm, a lot to like, and it did have that special little Disney magic that zaps the tip of your penis. Let's go ahead and plug this shit into the moist meter. I'm giving Kingdom Hearts 3 a 70%. Again, there's so many flaws in this game, And I think it's a shame that people are blinded by nostalgia or fear of the fans that they won't point them out, the things that are objectively bad about the game. I think that's a shame. And I think it's a shame they're there in the first place because the game could be great. It could have given a beautiful conclusion to a beloved story, albeit a very confusing and convoluted mess of a story. They could have worked on making that clearer and better, but they didn't. Narratively, it is a disaster. But overall, I think the game is fun if you just want to go in there, shut your fucking brain off, and just have some mindless fun with the combat in some familiar settings in Disney property. So that's it. See ya.